TV on the dialogue. President William Ruto has been in the Mount Kenya region for 6 days in what he terms as a development tour. Tonight, we do want to make make sense of exactly what happened last week as far as that development tour is concerned. And joining me on this particular set to try and make sense of this conversation this evening is, of course, seated on my immediate left is Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, who is the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. Next to him, we have ex-police spokesperson, that is Charles Sowino. And also, we do have Honorable Raphael Wanjala, who is the Member of Parliament, Budalangi constituency, and Dr. Peter Mbaye, who is the former head of government delivery services. We continue this conversation here, try to make sense of exactly what was happening in the Mount Kenya region. And of course, our question tonight being, does the president have to visit your region for you to get development? Does your president have to visit your region for you to get development? Of course, I do want to start with Dr. Peter Mbaye on this conversation. Peter, let me start with this. How do we characterize that particular tour that we witnessed in the past week?
Thank you so much, Brian, and thank you, viewers, and good evening. To answer your question, it's a straight no. The president doesn't have to visit your region for you to get development. Mm-hmm. Development has to be structured. There has to be a system where everybody gets development. Development should come from all the way from the manifesto, all the way to the budget of the year, and then all projects should be listed, and the amount of money, whether it is from exchequer and all that, and the people should know. The list should be dished out, should be given to the people so they can track development projects across. That is how a systemized way of development is done. Now, to answer your question, unfortunately, the day the president landed at Sagana, he started politics. So any idea of development that could have been there was overshadowed because he went there, and the first thing he did is to hit on the second deputy president, literally. So the whole thing overshadowed, and so what was framed as development ended up being a political tour to go and gain strength to see what is happening up there, and it messed up everything. It was a very bad show because if they impeached the second deputy president, why keep talking about him? Why begin character assassinating other people who are leaders and you impeach them? Let them be. It has been very ugly, resorting all the way to attack selling guns in churches. It is not neat, it is not godly, it is not ethical, it's not moral.
The attacks on the deputy president did not, were not witnessed across the different counties that he was able to visit, right?
Now, this is a narrative. Outside of Mount Kenya, the second deputy president has been branded a tribalist. But once they came to Mount Kenya, they couldn't dare call him a tribalist. They began saying Muti ya Fitina. You see? Because when out there, the narrative has been, these people. Okay. But when we went there, the narrative changed. My question is, if you are talking development, let it be seen, heard, listened to, smell development. Okay. But the whole thing was messed up by allegations, 10 billion here, all these other kind of things.
I get your point. Charles, politics or development?
The two are tied on the hip. For those of us who studied politics, what we were taught is that it's usually about getting or acquiring power. Once you have that power, you use it to generate wealth. That is why people have manifestos geared towards generation of wealth. And once the wealth has been created and generated, then it is supposed to be fairly distributed. So that is basically what politics means. And every person who looks for a political seat is supposed to get that power, use that power fairly to generate wealth for the whole nation, and then distribute it. So there's nothing wrong with a president visiting any part of the country. But remember, honestly, to be what we need to be sure about is that in just 1 year or so, we are going to have an election. And I'm sure the president will be looking for a second term, if God gives him life.
Okay,
therefore, what happens is that you will not easily separate politics and development.
Okay,
because
so
it is through that development.
If we can't separate the two, then
Yes.
why would we characterize one as a development tour and say it is going to be devoid of any political functions or any political talks, and yet when we get to the ground, it's a different kind of message?
It's not possible. Politicians are usually cheeky in the way they say their things. I've just told you can't separate politics from development.
So this
in
was
the
both
sense
a
that
development and a
usually
political
when you
tour.
go back, when you are going for election,
Yeah.
even for some of them who have been members of parliament, once they are there, people look at your development record. When you go to campaign, you talk about your development record. And that's politics. So you can't separate. Even now, when
So how do you characterize this particular tour that we saw in the Mount Kenya region?
if I look at it as a person, it would fit both for development, because the president has a duty to develop regions and not discriminating any region. But equally, he has also a duty to talk politics and play politics.
Okay.
And when he is talking about development, basically it is politics.
All right.
Unless we don't understand what politics is about.
Honorable Wanjala, let me come to you. Development or political rally? Now you are a politician, you've been on the campaign trail. When you look at that, what do you see?
Yes, actually, I've been in politics for quite some time. I came to Parliament 1997 when I was only 30 years, and I've been there. What I want to say is this, that you can't separate the two, politics and development. The reason why we acquire political offices is because we want to develop people, create wealth for them wherever they are, make their lives easier. When during the time you are campaigning, you are associating with these people, you are meeting different people. Now that you have acquired this power, you need also to go back, see them, and exactly you are the supervisor, because it is the backstops with you as the president or as whatever, as an MP. If as an MP I must go supervise the development of my CDF and even launch them and talk my politics there, because they are associated. Now, why is politics associated with the development? Because those people who are already campaigning against you are talking about you. Now, during your development tour, you must be able to answer them.
So you use the development tour to play politics in terms of answering those who are actually opposing you?
Of course, when somebody goes to hospital, he may be suffering from malaria. As you diagnose malaria, you may be able also to diagnose other diseases.
Okay, Jeremiah Kioni.
So you can't spare, you cannot fail to treat those other diseases because you came from malaria.
Politics will just take the center stage when it comes to any development tour that we get to see. But from where you sit, how should a development tour look like, especially coming from the head of state?
One, I think it is important for you to get what it was for those of us who come from that region. And this was really a farewell tour.
Farewell tour, why do you say that?
Ilikuwa mkono wa Brian, kwaherini. Both sides were waving each other kwaherini.
The president and the people of Mount Kenya.
William did well to pick this time to come and say kwaherini, because it's less hostile, it's less emotional. When you come nearer the elections date, you are likely to get people more emotive. So this was the right time for him to come. And the tour achieved what it was intended to achieve, which was kwaheri.
He said he's going to come back.
Whether it is politics you want to bring there, whether it is development that you want to bring in that region, people from that region have given up on your politics, on your development promises. Wanajipanga ingine. So we can talk about the mountain the whole evening here.
Okay. So,
but the game has moved, and just let me say this, because I was there yesterday, and what I was told by the people you say, what were Bosho? The people who are down there, it's really amazing. There is nothing they are expecting to be done in their region. The area I come from is called Kanyagi, and I'm told where the tour was being done, there was a mention that there is a market that has been done in that region.
Okay.
So mambo ya kuwa na matumaini ya kwamba ilikuwa siara ya maendeleo.
What do you make of the crowds that were witnessed, especially on the first day? Because when people look at the TV screen and they look at the crowds and the photos that are being shared online, they have a different message on exactly how the president was welcomed in Mount Kenya. They believe that the president to some extent is still the king of the mountain, and you're saying it was goodbye. How?
Whether they were brought or they came for them, they brought themselves. Whether they were paid or they were not paid, ilikuwa mkono wa buriani.
Okay.
That was a farewell, and take it from me. The decision has been made in that region.
Okay.
There is nothing much you're going to do to change the political position they have taken.
All right.
And we've seen it before.
All right, we'll come back and talk some more about this conversation as we continue with the People Dialogue tonight. Here, I want to cross over to Mumbi in the other studio. Of course, I believe she's there with her panel on this particular conversation that we're having tonight on issues to do with President William Ruto and the Mount Kenya tour. Of course, the president has been able to visit different parts of the country. And of course, he was in Western. We've seen him in Nyanza. We've seen him in the northeastern parts of the country. And now he was in Mount Kenya region. We've seen him in Coast. And all of these particular visits, of course, he gets to launch projects, make more commitments as far as development is concerned. Now, we make sense of that particular conversation. Mumbi, over to you.
On the significance of President Ruto's tour in Mount Kenya region that he just concluded last week here on the People Dialogue on Kameme TV as well as on K24. Now, after being incognito for some time from the Mount Kenya region following the impeachment of his deputy president Rigathi Gachagua, now last week President William Ruto pitched camp at the region for what was termed as a developmental tour in a bid to hopefully recapture the region that played a tremendous role in his victory during the 2022 presidential election. But is his big return to the mountain enough to change the political tide in his favor? And just how tangible are the development projects that he recently launched? We are going to be delving into that, and to help us better understand that tour, the impact it had, is Isaac Wabuge. Thank you so much, Isaac Wabuge, who is an analyst. Thank you so much for being here. We also have Julia Chege, who is a governance expert. Thank you, Julia Chege, for being here with us tonight. We also have Ngugi Ndegwa. Thank you so much for being here. He is the executive director for Ustawi KE. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start with the lady, of course, Julia Chege. You're from Murang'a County, Kangema.
Yes, yes.
Was the tour everything you hoped the residents of Murang'a County, Kangema, hoped it would be?
Thank you so much for having me this evening here, and good evening to our viewers, and especially the people of Kangema constituency, whereby I will be contesting for Member of Parliament Kangema 2027. Yeah, the president came, and I want to commend our people because there were no chaos. At least they exercised some decorum and all that. But from where I sit, as a governance expert, my biggest question I would have wanted to hear, like for example, they opened up the market, Karugia market, and from how I know that place, it's not supposed to be a national project. It's supposed to be a county project. And I think the governor of Murang'a is doing a commendable job. So I'm asking myself a very big question: was there any need of devolution if the president can come all the way to actually open up such a market, and it's a devolution, you know, unit and a mandate? Nevertheless, it was opened. I just hope that the tractors didn't leave with him. And the other thing that I would like to ask, and it's a pertinent question, is the youth unemployment and the healthcare system in our country, which is really going down. And for me, what I would have liked to hear is the president actually talking about the SHA, and I've seen on some news the SHA boss has been fired or something. So there'll be some jobs being advertised. So I would have liked him to actually sell that project and tell us, the people in Mashinani, are they able to afford this SHA? Are the private hospitals taking the SHA? And what is happening really in the healthcare system? And we all know what is happening. On the issue to the education sector, I would have expected the president to actually now demand the help that was there and the current model of funding in the universities being reviewed or something. And I think I am writing next week to the Ministry of Education to petition actually that, because it should go back, because our students are really suffering. And if you look at who are suffering, it's the youth, it's our children. Mama Gen Z, it's our children who are suffering, who cannot be able to get the help. And the bars that they have put, that nobody is able to understand, the tires, you know. So for me, from where I sit, I think the president did good to come, because our people, at least they came out and they went home with some money. Because you see, people are living in very hard economic times. Those that are able to get some money, they are able to get. It's unfortunate I never attended because I was a bit busy. But if I was free, maybe I would have attended to be around our people.
Let's get to Isaac Wabuge. Do you think the tour met the expectations of the Mount Kenya people? And also, do you think the president considered the needs of the people? You know, he launched several projects, markets, like Julia has said. But do you think that he really took his time before going to consider, you know, what do these people really need?
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, when you look at the events of last week, you realize that politics and development are joined at the hip.
Right.
And when it comes to this visit, it was a high-stake visit by the president to a region that overwhelmingly supported him in the last election. So we know that there have been some element of discontentment, disillusionment coming from the mountain. But I think the big message that the president has been trying to drive is that despite the fallout of the president and his estranged deputy, the fact that he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and the president of the Republic of Kenya, and the presidency as an institution, as enshrined in the constitution, he was within his constitutional mandate to visit the Mount Kenya region. But at the same time, when you look at it, then you also realize that then the mountain region is a very strategic region when it comes to the political engagements in Kenya, when it comes to the economic angle in Kenya. And even as we talk of the mountain, we are talking about a region that has produced 2 presidents. Now, there lies in the problem that as much as then where the responsibility is demanded, then it also portrays a picture of beyond the development, beyond the political undertones. There is no region that then stands better than the other. So when we look at the development agenda that the president has for the mountain, then we question ourselves as well and ask, is the mountain too much entitled as the things stand? Is the mountain at a crossroad? And at the same time as we question the mountain at the crossroad, the hard question then is, when responsibility comes at a point of, also acknowledging that no region is bigger than any other in the country. So we do believe that whatever agenda the president had for the mountain and the president have been quite close for almost the last 6 years. We do know that when the son of the mountain told them that this is not the route to go, the people of the mountain chose this other route. So as they chose this route, then we're asking ourselves that when we go on the round table, can we then also be courageous enough to say that then the table is for all of us? The cake is for the entire nation.
Right. Let's get Ngugi Ndego's views on that. You know, Wabuge has just said something about the Mount Kenya people feeling some sort of entitlement. Of course, prior to his visit, the tour was really hyped, popularized. And do you think there's a sense of, because it's not the only place that President Ruto has toured, he's been to Western Coast, West Pokot. So is there a sense of entitlement from the central Mount Kenya people?
Well, in my view, I don't think Mount Kenya is feeling entitled to anything. And that could be my view and also the view of very many people. And the reason I say that is because Mount Kenya, just like any other region in this country, deserves to see that development seems to be working for them, just like any other part of the country. But also importantly, I will take you back to all the other elections that we have had, and particularly starting with 2017 and 2022, and probably even in the future elections, where we have seen Mount Kenya as a very important vote basket for most of these politicians. And it is true that it is a good vote basket, but also it is also true that while it is a good vote basket, they must seem to get what they believe they were promised. And so I think the main problem is not Mount Kenya feeling entitled. The main problem is the president having overpromised. And now he cannot live up to the promises. And also, I think I will disagree with my friend Wabuge when he says that politics and development should go in tandem. And I disagree with that because it is a big hassle to balance between politics and governing, especially when you are the president and especially when you are part of the administration. And I say this because when you want to seem like you want to balance politics and development, then you lose track and you start being loud and not working.
Right.
And I think that is the major problem, that the president and his government have lost public trust, as envisioned in the chapter 6 of the Constitution, whether in written or in spirit, that a president or anyone holding public office must gain public trust.
Right.
And when there is no public trust, then there is nothing that we can say that has satisfied Mount Kenya through this tour.
Right.
Because their expectations cannot be met when there is no public trust.
All right. Julia, let's come to you. What projects, according to you, are worth being launched by the president? I mean, he launched projects worth billions, worth millions, some 50 million shillings. So according to you, what projects are worth being launched by the president?
Okay, thank you so much. The question is not what projects are worth to be launched by the president, because even a market is a project that is supporting the Mama Boga, and during the campaign they promised they're going to actually do something with the Mama Boga and all that. But I think from where I sit, the people of the mountain, being one of them, and I think I have a constituent that actually follows me. Number one, we have some two issues. One, political demands, and we have development demands. Number one, one of the demands, I don't want to go to the policy because you haven't asked me, you've asked me about development. Number one is the agricultural liberalization. Let's revive the coffee sector. Let's see the milk being sold in a better way. Let's see the tea, having better prices. Let's have better markets. Let's have fair markets, something like that. Number two, youth empowerment and employment. We have seen our youth, our young people, we are actually exporting our young people to go and work outside this country, as if this country has so many. I think we should rework on the retirement age. It should go to 50 years or 55. So we are having people over 70 years and working in government in form of contracts. The other thing is the infrastructure and connectivity. The projects that were left by the former president, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, he did a splendid job. But we are seeing those projects, they are not being given some money. So we have that development, the development demand. It's not something that we are asking the president to come and do. We are telling him, this is our demand. You must complete for us the Mau Mau. And it is very unfortunate that we have some MPs and governors and senators and MCAs, elected leaders, women reps, who are following the president because he is opening up a Mau Mau road. That is our demand. We are demanding for such a thing. And then the other thing that we are also demanding is the healthcare. We need our healthcare system fixed, our education system fixed. And the last one is very, 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 very personal and also very emotive in our community, in our region, in Mount Kenya. Alcohol and drugs and substance abuse. We have seen people who are coming to bring our youth because they are unemployed. They are giving them alcohol, they are giving them substance. we are demanding for that kind of development. We want to see our president coming to launch a rehabilitation. We want to see our president coming to take our youth to the rehabilitation so that they can be reintegrated back to the community and they start working and we get a working nation, not a talking nation. So from where I sit, no beef about what the president is saying, but from where I sit, those development demands, they should reach the president in the morning.
All right, Obuga, I know you want to say something, but hold that thought for now. We are going to cross over to the other side, to Brian. And of course, we will continue with this conversation. Brian, what does your panel have to say?
With Honorable Rafael Wanjala, if the president comes to your constituency and wants to launch a classroom, what do you get to launch as a member of parliament?
Launches what?
A classroom. Let's say we are launching this particular classroom, we are opening, commissioning and all that.
Yes, the president, even in Budalang, he was there 2 months ago. And he launched classes, not a classroom. He launched more than 12 classrooms. And that man was coming from the Ministry of Water and Irrigation. And there's a project of Lower Nzoia, a Lower Nzoia project where CSR, through CSR, they have given us some 20 million to build some classes.
They've given
within
to,
the two
they
neighboring
gave to
schools.
Who exactly did they give to?
The contractor gave out under CSR to the two schools, neighboring schools, within that area of that project, the 20 million. So as he launched this project, he also launched these classrooms. There are about 12. There's no problem with the president launching. And I also have CDF. I launch 1, 2, 3. Or if I've done a very big project and the president, I've asked the president to add me more money, I can still call him to come and launch. There's no problem.
So if you ask the president to add you more money, from where exactly? From
the president, of course, the whole coffer is his. He will get it from the Ministry of Education Development money.
Okay. How does that work in terms of, I thought, the parliament comes in when it comes to matters trying to allocate, money for development.
The president is the
needs.
head of government. What is government? Government has 3 arms. There is judicial.
So you say with a call, you can,
there is
there's money that can be redirected to other purposes?
They have those powers enshrined in the constitution. They can reallocate.
Have you been able to ask the president to reallocate to your constituency so that you are able to continue with projects that you promised your people?
Not yet.
Are you looking forward to doing that?
I'm looking forward to do that because I have 4 serious projects that CDF is really trying, but we have very little money in CDF. And I had asked you, even I'm going to ask for 200 million to finish those projects the way they are supposed to be finished. Those are very big projects.
What projects are you talking about?
A complete school with the offices and everything. Laboratories, not 1, maybe 3 laboratories, computer labs, and many other things inside there.
How is CDF struggling to make sure that that is actually done?
We have been struggling. We are building 3 floors. We are already done with the 2 floors. We are left with 1 floor. Each one of them, there are 4, but the schools are big.
So the president, that is the only direction that you have to take at this particular moment to make sure that
Of course, the president is the head of government and he heads the treasury. He's the one who appoints who is going to sit in the treasury and Ministry of Education.
You mean to say these development tours that we see the president making are very crucial, especially for members of parliament like you?
They are very crucial because the president must go around the whole of this country to see, even to supervise the developments he's talking about.
So if he doesn't get to visit regions, then we will not see development. Is that how it's supposed to be, though?
No, the development should continue as usual. But when he has a chance to visit a place to see for himself, it's also important. But people who voted for him may be able now also to see their president.
Seeing the president is one thing. Depending on him to come to the region for development to occur, that's a different kind of ballgame you're talking about.
Tell me which child will see his father not ask for a bread or say, I'm hungry. Anytime we say our president, there are developments that we have not done, we take advantage of requesting for those developments.
Peter, you are in charge of government service, delivery service. Is this what was actually intended?
Brian, when I hear such sentiments, I feel so sorry for the taxpayer. That person in Voi, that person in Mandela, that woman in Molo, who is waiting for government projects and programs to find them where they are. Now, this reminds me of one MP who bragged how they were called to State House and they were given letters for teachers. Now, what happens to the people who are not in broad-based? What happens to the MPs, to the senators who cannot access State House? It's not fair. And I keep on saying, Brian, if we begin learning this government or learning ourselves this way, what we do, the people who are watching us, they give up hope completely. If leaders, we can come and brag how I went and I got this. What systems are we talking about? What structures, what government, what nation are we building? We have been here since the first government, 1963 and all that. The government survives or lives blind because of systems, structures, institutions. So that if you are the president in 1963, the next president comes, you come and better the systems, better the structures, better the institutions, so that the people who come later, they can have hope that I can live in Turkana, I can live in so and so and get equal chances. Okay. But the moment you say, I went and got this. Now, how development is supposed to be, and this is what we have been pushing. We were used to push. Bland, let's have systems. Let's agree. This is a budget we have, right? This is money allocated to the national government projects. Let CDF not hide at the national. It's a national government project, but it has its own kitty, right? The same way there is money to the counties under the governors. So what we are saying, it should be structured. Somebody should be able to know that this financial year, my project of water in so and so has been allocated money so that it's not patronage too much. The president has a right, of course, to visit anywhere and open. President has a right to be invited by the governor to open a project of even the MCA. It's possible, but let us not say that we must go and beg and go and say we must get evidence. Actually, we were saying presidential directives, as much as possible, should be the projects which are in the budget. Okay. Now, but let me say this, Brian, for 1 minute. There's something that has come up here. Let us clarify, because we are here because we are bettering the policies and the languages we are talking about. A lot has been said about the difference between politics and development. Give me half a minute. Now, when we talk about leadership, politics, we talk about politics, leadership, and governance. We talk about politics and government and governance as a coin, one or two sides of the same coin. Now, but Brian, there is what we call politics of development. That means when you are going to a region, of course, governments are built because of politics, because of votes. But if you don't have anything tangible, you now cover up with politics. You begin going around and talking a lot of things. In short, what he had expected in Mount Kenya and other regions, it is a list of number 1. 3 years later, blind. You can't tell us you are still launching. You should come up with first commissioned projects which are done, then you go and say you are launching others. But for now, people are saying, especially Mount Kenya, please don't launch. Finish the ones that have not been completed. And that one, it is called 10% only. I think 1 or 2 roads have been done 3 years later. That is the problem we have.
10%, you're getting that figure from where?
Now, that's my own analysis from the ground. You know, we listen to the ground blind. You know, we are not only here. We go to the ground and look at the ground.
Charles, commissioning and launching, which one should be done? Should we focus on the projects that were promised during election and now, you know, were somehow commissioned and now to some extent they're supposed to actually have been concluded or something like that? Or should we go and make more commitments to other more projects? Because we've been able to see roadside declarations as far as this trip is concerned.
Number one, I want to just briefly mention something you mentioned about classrooms. You mentioned about classrooms. Okay. You were asking Honorable Wanjala about President launching classrooms. And I think, I don't know whether I'm right, but I think you could have been also interested in the classrooms the President launched in Laikipia. And you know that we had children who have not been going to school because of insecurity.
Okay.
Fortunately,
let me just stop you there because I believe I have a reaction from the other side. I don't know, from Mumbai studio before I come to you and
but
you
they
conclude.
took a lot of time. We have not even taken a quarter of the time.
I don't know, do I have a reaction from that side?
Yeah, my reaction goes to Mr. Mbai. The last submission of Mr. Mbai, when you asked him of the statistic, he said he visits the ground. So he is on the ground and he's listening from the ground of some of these projects that haven't gone through. But I think it marks Mr. Mbai as somebody with the double speak. We do know that Mr. Mbai was the head of government delivery. When the heat was too much in the kitchen, he quit. Until today, had he been a man of his word, a man of the spine, he need to have been stayed in that kitchen when the heat was there, so that he's able to implement the kind of reforms he's trying to submit to right now. So it's unfortunate that even when we are engaging as such a matter, and that's why from my point, I confidently hold the opinion that the element of entitlement is so much from the central region that you see when we are talking of a balanced delivery of development across the country, we feel some level of seclusion when it comes to the mountain region. So I wish to challenge Mr. Mbai that when you had an opportunity to bring in the kind of reforms that you are presenting right now, you quit. Till today, we have never seen your scorecard to realize that what were the key reasons that made you quit. And from the place that you are to the issues that you are raising right now, why can't we easily label you a coward who was given an opportunity to transform a department of the nation, to bring a service delivery of the nation, and when the nation needed you most, that is when you threw into the towel?
That needs a direct, that requires a direct answer, because there's a very simple, blind, very simple. Thank you so much. Now, my record speaks for itself. We founded, since independence, we went to all the ministries and tried a system of being accountable to the people. All the ministries, we asked them their achievements so far. That is what was last year, the beginning of last year. We asked them their achievements since September 2022 and told them to account for what they are going to do. Projects that are going to be in the budget, they were supposed to be published for people to see. Now, you can only advise. You can only give your proposals and say what needs to be done. There is only one CEO in this country. Once you do, you are a bit blind. And that is why we are not in that government. And that's why we had to do it publicly to say we are no longer there. Because we went and told them, don't do development from your pocket. Let it be out if indeed you want to deliver. And so it's very simple. You don't stay where you are tolerated. You go where you are celebrated. If you can give advice, it's not heeded. Why do somebody wants to mess my name by being part of a system when you know you lie, you are not going to deliver what you promised. It's that simple.
Thank you, sir. You presided over 2 budgets. You presided over 2 budgets. You were in the delivery. What did you deliver?
Thank you. I want to refer everybody to the report we made. Remember the Naivasha report, the Naivasha, the second retreat for the executive. We tabled the report of government then, and we said this should be the basis of what should be done. Actually, let me say this, and removing here Mount Kenya. By now, we should be having the 3rd report of the government of Kenya of achievements done. Where is the report? Everybody coming blind. Everybody coming to support government. They should come with a report card.
Just a moment.
Come with a report card.
Just a moment, kindly. I want to take a break here on the program. Of course, we continue this conversation. When we come back, we get some, reactions from my panel here as far as this conversation is concerned. We take a break. We'll be back in a few.
Meme TV, Muthegi wa Ruriri. People Daily, Kenya's trusted newspaper, is making history as the first daily to go fully digital.